Friends of SWAT is a nonprofit organization that was brought together by a group of individuals to help cities and counties and organizations supply their SWAT teams with needed equipment.
We saw that there was a need in the state of Minnesota for funding for SWAT teams around the state of Minnesota. They were using equipment that was antiquated, third generation.
SWAT is important to the community because you have to have some kind of tool to use to come in and resolve it. And that's what we're there for. The different equipment and training that we need, it's all about us serving the community and using these tools to be safer and to do our job better. And it's about the cop going home at the end of the shift, doing whatever we have to do to resolve the situation, and then everybody goes home safe.
Well, I've been in law enforcement for about 3 decades, and I can say shortly after I started with the Sheriff's Office, it became clear to me that a big part of what I wanted to do was to get on the SWAT team. The former Marine in me wanted to continue pursuing being the best and to provide the best services I could and receive the best training that I could, and so that was a key part of my objective. And I was thrilled after just about a year on the office, I got selected to the SWAT team and spent many years in that capacity. Well, I think everyone has a televised or a Hollywood understanding of what SWAT is, but in the real world, we know that when we're in trouble, when we need help, we call 911 and we call the cops. There are those situations when it gets very bad on the street and the situation requires that the cops need help too, and that's when they call SWAT. And so we understand that that requires that specialized weapons, those specialized training, thus the acronym SWAT for Special Weapons and Tactics. And we've seen over the years many times how the use and the implementation of a SWAT team actually in their response is designed to save lives and to protect people.
Friends of SWAT influences the community by being a resource for the SWAT teams in the state to go to. Everything's comes back to the community and how we serve them. And sometimes better tools and better training equipment helps us to serve them better and more professionally.
The reason it's important to have correct funding, the correct equipment for the SWAT teams around the state of Minnesota, it simply just, it saves lives.
Well, certainly having the proper equipment benefits a SWAT team in their response and their ability to deal with whatever situation is thrown at them, and that's what they are prepared to respond to, whatever, and the worst case scenarios that are thrown at them. And so as the SWAT officers respond to these situations, the proper equipment certainly does keep them safe, but the core behind every SWAT response is keeping the community safe, getting the victims out as efficiently as possible and preventing the ongoing victimization of others. And a lot of the specialty equipment that they obtain and that they utilize is strictly for that purpose, to protect and serve the community.
SWAT really needs this foundation because we have found, as we've talked to many of the sheriffs and police chiefs, they just don't have the budgets necessary to provide the kinds of equipment that they are needing in this day and age.
We all know that budgetary constraints impact a lot of different areas, and certainly law enforcement has seen the impacts of that in specialized areas such as SWAT, because a lot of the equipment can be very difficult to obtain and can be spendy. It can be difficult for a SWAT team to operate at the levels that they identify as important or necessary, and even to keep up with some of the equipment that the bad guys have. And so as we face those budgetary constraints, any of the nonprofit partners, and especially Friends of SWAT, can make a significant impact in helping us to provide better services.
As a nonprofit, we have to reach out to the community to help us. Because that's really the only place where we're going to get the kinds of resources that we will need over a period of time to do our job and to achieve our mission.
I'm kind of biased, but for me, I'd like to see the community get involved because it ultimately helps them. If they're involved with it, volunteering, giving, going to the golf tournament, going to the website and donating, it's all resources for us to help them.
Once the community is aware of what we're trying to do and the benefits that they'll receive from our efforts, will perpetuate growth for the nonprofit organization, and it'll be a win-win for everybody involved.
People can get involved in our nonprofit organization by going to friendsofswatminnesota.org. If you're interested in being more involved in what we do, become involved in our events, or you can make donations directly through that site to our organization.
I think in its simplest forms, what I would like to see is Friends of SWAT Minnesota be able to continue to grow, continue to expand, and continue to be supported on a broader scale so that all of our local SWAT teams, all of our local law enforcement continue to be safer, to perform better, and to have the necessary equipment to keep you safe.